So what? So the gospel again is what? I mean, just narrow. Like if I'm like, hey, I'm in an elevator, dude. What is the gospel of Jesus Christ, Aaron Gallagher? Can you tell me?
I mean, you want me to give you the 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4, the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus? That's the central of the gospel. I think we've been discussing for the last 3 discussions. Absolutely.
Would you say the gospel is the whole New Testament, or would you say the gospel is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus?
I would say both. The New Testament, all those things is telling you about the good news. Why do you think we call them the Gospels? Because they're good news. They're telling us the story of Jesus.
That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah. Do you think Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are not good news?
Yes. There's a gospel message. It's talking about the life of Christ, the death of Christ, the burial of Christ, and the resurrection of Christ, and who Christ is and what he came to do, right? So according to, yes, I would say, so the gospel is let me ask you, let me just be clear. Is the gospel, does it also mean baptism?
So you just said you agreed that the gospels are good news, right?
Yeah, because it's about the life of Christ, because the gospel is about the life of why Christ came, right? The life, the death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. Okay?
Good.
That'd be the gospel. So is this the gospel? Right here, 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4?
Sure.
So, but okay, I want to be very clear. I want to ask you very slowly, does baptism, is that part of the gospel? Or is that a response to the gospel? Which one?
Jesus said in Mark 16, 15, and 16, go into the whole world and preach the gospel. And what did Jesus elaborate? He that believes and is baptized will be saved.
So I'm asking you, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. Is the gospel baptism as well, or is the gospel about just the death and resurrection, the life of Christ and what he's done?
Baptism is a part of the gospel. Yes. And yes.
That breaks my heart.
Well, I know it breaks your heart. Fit your doctrine.
It breaks. No, it's bad. I mean, let me just show you some writings of your Church of Christ leaders.
Let
me tell you what Thomas Campbell said. Let me tell you what Alexander Campbell said.
So I noticed you want to run from discussing Scripture. You want to talk about
no. I'm like, dude, listen, I'm not wanting to run from Scripture. I'm like, I just brought the Scripture up. I just said, hey, you see, 1 Corinthians 15.
I've never heard of Leroy Garrett.
You never heard of the? These are old Church of Christ people from the, early 1900s explaining. Well, so here. I'm just going to give you quotes from Campbell.
Well, let me say this:
we got
45 minutes left, and you yourself mentioned in your passage about, or your video answering the air with your buddy Nathan, who seems like a very nice guy. You said, you're the one that wanted to discuss the Scriptures and not bring up different people's names. So we got 45 minutes, and we've yet to get to discuss faith alone.
We got plenty of time. We got next week. We got. Believe me, I promise you. I want to talk about faith alone, total depravity. But what I'm saying is, you're saying that the gospel. See here, the gospel is about the death, burial, resurrection. If it is the whole New Testament, here's what a good Church of Christ, honest Church of Christ guy way back in the day said about the gospel. If it is the whole New Testament, look, if this is so, then for one to obey the gospel and become a Christian, he must understand the whole of the New Covenant Scriptures and obey them. If this is so, then there was not a single apostle who preached the whole gospel, with the possible exception of John, for the New Testament was not even completed until near the close of the first century. Like, that is to say that it's everything in the New Testament, like, no. According to the Apostle Paul, it's the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus.
No, there's different senses in which the word is used. If you're talking about 1 Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians 1, obey the gospel, obey the death, burial, resurrection. But if you're not going to acknowledge that the word euangelion is used in multiple ways, I mean, why do you think Mark's gospel uses euangelion? Because there's a writing in the Priene inscription, which in the first century Roman culture, the Priene inscription says the good news of Caesar bringing salvation to the world. So